or terrorist. John Brown was an extreme anti-slavery supporter from the United States who practiced armed resistance as a way to get rid of slavery for good. President Lincoln said he was a misguided extremist, and Brown has been called the most controversial of all 1800s Americans. John Brown grew up in Ohio and Massachusetts. He later moved to Pennsylvania, where he married, bought a farm, and raised 13 children. In 1837, his church leader was murdered by slave owners for his anti-slavery views. When Brown learned about the murder, he said, "I will dedicate my life to the destruction of slavery." Unlike most Northerners who liked peaceful resistance to slavery, Brown demanded violent action in response to Southern aggression. Angry with the peace encouraged by the anti-slavery movement, he said, "These men are all talk. What we need is action. Action!" During a rebellion in Kansas, Brown and his supporters killed 5 pro-slavery Southerners in what became known as the Pottawatomie Massacre. He and his supporters, including 2 of his sons, escaped arrest and felt good about their violent acts against slaveholders. John Brown then began planning what he hoped would become a full-scale slave rebellion that would end slavery forever. In 1859, Brown and his supporters planned to arm freed enslaved and move from plantation farm to plantation farm, freeing the enslaved and arming them with weapons. The first step for this would be to capture enough weapons for the rebellion. They targeted a government weapons building in Harper's Ferry, Virginia. Brown was only able to get 21 men, 16 white and 5 black, to join him in the raid, but he felt as soon as they began, free black people and the enslaved would join them. During the raid, they took over the building, but 7 of his people were killed and 10 more were injured. Within 36 hours, Brown's men had escaped, been killed, or captured by the military. Brown himself was captured by the government and put on trial for betrayal, where he was found guilty. On the morning of December 2nd, 1859, Brown read his Bible and wrote a final letter to his wife. At 11 a.m., he was escorted from the jail, through a crowd of 2,000 soldiers, to a small field where he was hanged for his crimes. The poet Walt Whitman wrote this after viewing the execution. Historians agree John Brown played a major role in starting the Civil War. His actions before the Civil War still make him a controversial figure today. He is sometimes remembered as a hero and a visionary, and sometimes seen as a villain, madman, and a terrorist. Some people call him the father of American terrorism, but others say Brown was an American who gave his life so that millions of other Americans might be free.